Jiranga often, but this time.
Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh, coming up in the next hour. Government of India notifies Citizenship Amendment Act, rules that grant citizenship to 6 persecuted minorities from Pakistan, Afghanistan and Bangladesh. India's mega infra push continues. Prime Minister Modi launches 112 national highway projects spread across the country. Swedish flag raised at NATO Headquarters in Brussels for the first time since it joined the alliance, marks the country's entry into military alliance 2 years after Russia-Ukraine conflict. And Oppenheimer shines at the Oscars, wins 7 of its 13 nominations, including Best Film, Best Director, Best Actor and Supporting Actor. The Ministry of Home Affairs on Monday notified the rules for the Citizenship Amendment Act that aims to give citizenship to persecuted minorities from Muslim-majority countries like Bangladesh, Pakistan and Afghanistan who had come to India before 31st of December 2014. The law for CAA was passed in 2019, has been notified by the government today. This will provide legal citizenship rights to minority refugees who fled from these countries to seek refuge under the fear of persecution.
Citizenship Amendment Act notified by the Government of India on Monday will bring much relief to several persecuted minorities from Bangladesh, Pakistan and Afghanistan who had fled India seeking shelter and refuge between 1947 and 31st December 2014. The CAA will now provide legal citizenship rights to these persecuted minorities in India, which they have called their home for years. The persecuted minorities include Hindus, Sikhs, Jains and Buddhists who have come from these countries over time to seek refuge, are settled in many parts of the country. But the majority of the refugees are settled in states like West Bengal, Punjab, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar amongst others. Soon after the Ministry of Home Affairs announced the notification of the Act on Monday evening, the Motua community of Bengal erupted in joy and celebrations in Bengal. The Motuas, a persecuted Hindu community of Bangladesh, had fled to India, facing persecution in Bangladesh between 1947 and 2014 and sought refuge here in India. The community had a long-standing demand of legalizing their citizenship, which has finally been met by the Government of India.
It is depend upon to give the citizenship just by the central government, not for the state government. So when our Home Ministry taking this kind of action to implement the citizenship, I think there is not violating any kind of society's act.
Not just the Motuas from Bengal, but several communities who had fled from Pakistan and Afghanistan over the last many years due to persecution or fear of persecution from the majority community in those countries are also elated with the decision of the Government of India to grant them permanent citizenship.
See, the Citizenship Amendment Act was passed by the Parliament years back. What is happening now is its logical conclusion of preparing the rules and regulations. I see it only as part of the normal process of good governance in this country.
The Citizenship Amendment Bill was passed in the Indian Parliament on 11th December 2019. The bill was given assent by the Indian President in a couple of days and it became a law. The rules for the law, duly deliberated by the Ministry of Home Affairs and notified on 11th March 2024. The ministry has said that the persecuted minorities will be able to register themselves as citizens after registering themselves on the website. The act will go down in history as a milestone as it addressed the years of demand of persecuted minorities. Dibyendu Mondol's report for DD India.
And DD India correspondent Dibyendu Mondol joins us live from New Delhi. Dibyendu, members of persecuted communities have waited for this day for long. What reactions first are you picking up on this announcement?
Well, Shubhendu, as soon as the news of the Citizenship Amendment Act being notified by the Government of India reached to the millions of people who had waited for this day for years, erupted with joy. We have just played out visuals from how the communities, different communities who were impacted in fact by this bill, have erupted in celebrations across different parts of India. Not just in Bengal, we have played out visuals from different parts of India where people have erupted in celebration. We have been speaking to a couple of them, and they say that finally their long-drawn struggle to get the legal citizenship entitlement of India has seen the light of the day, because this government, which had promised to them in 2019, have fulfilled the promise. Well, of course, in 2019 itself, but it took a couple of years for the government to frame the rules, which was notified by the Government of India's Ministry of Home Affairs this evening. So, of course, people are celebrating. There are joy amongst these communities, not just from Bangladesh, but also people who are persecuted and fled the countries like Pakistan and Afghanistan and settled in different parts of the country. I was also speaking to some of the minority communities of Pakistan who resides in Delhi. Of course, an interesting story when the 2019 Citizenship Amendment Bill was passed, a girl was born on the same day of 11 December, and her parents, who were persecuted in Pakistan and had fled to India, had named the girl as Nagarikta, which translates into citizenship. So that is the amount of joy that the people who had fought this battle for many years are experiencing right now, because it seems that they have now been able to call themselves a true Indian citizen after the government have decided that the rules to be framed. And it's of course a very simple process where the government have given out a website where people can go in and register themselves in that website and through the documents. Yes, back to you.
Just a little more on the process, as you were telling us, about applying for Indian citizenship for these communities. And given that, in fact, there is a deadline, a cutoff of 31st December 2014, how will the legality of eligibility be then determined?
Well, Shubhendu, I was just going through the notification which is currently in my hand. It's a 39 pages notification which the government has issued. It's a gazette notification, and after which it has been notified. And, there are multiple steps that the government has notified in the rules that has been duly framed by the Ministry of Home Affairs over the last couple of years. There are these citizens who had come to India between 1947 and 2000. 31st December 2014 is the cutoff date that the government has given for all eligible minority communities, which includes the Hindus, the Sikhs, the Buddhists and Jains from countries like Afghanistan, Pakistan as well as Bangladesh, to apply for citizenship of India. There are multiple categories, one being that naturalization of citizenship. There are other categories which also includes segments like where they can apply for citizenship if one of their parent were either born in India. For a minor child, they could also submit documents of their land registration deals which they have registered in India between 1947 and 31st December 2014. So therefore the government in section B have of this notified rules have laid down certain documents which the person who is applying on the website can submit these documents, and which will be verified by a district level officer. And if there are any anomalies, it will move to a empowered committee, which will then take a decision on the citizenship of that individual. And each and every individual will be granted a citizenship after he takes an oath of Indian citizenship under the Constitution, and will be handed over a digital copy of the citizenship of India. Also, let us also inform our viewers, because the government has been categorically saying that the CAA is not to take away the citizenship of anybody. It is only to give citizenship to the persecuted minorities who had fled in fear of persecution or persecuted in the countries that we are mentioning, which is Bangladesh, Pakistan and Afghanistan. So therefore, for all our viewers who are watching, the Citizenship Amendment Act is not to take away the citizenship of any individual, but to give citizenship to the persecuted minorities who have fled to India between 1947 and 31st December 2014. Back to you.
Dibyendu, thank you for joining us with those updates. Moving on, India's infrastructure sector is poised for unparalleled growth, driven by government initiatives and increased investments. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi unveiled multiple national highway projects across the country in Gurugram in Indian state of Haryana. Prime Minister Modi inaugurated and laid the foundation stone of 112 national highway projects for different states worth more than $12 billion.
India's national highway network got a big boost on Monday. Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurated and laid foundation stone of 112 national highway projects spread across the country worth more than $12 billion. The Haryana section of the Dwarka Expressway was also inaugurated. This will cut traffic jams on the Delhi-Gurgaon Expressway. Dwarka Expressway will make travel easier and faster between Haryana and Delhi's IGI airport.
इस एक्सप्रेसवे पर 9,000 करोड़ रुपए से ज्यादा खर्च किए गए हैं। आज से दिल्ली हरियाणा के बीच यातायात का अनुभव हमेशा के लिए बदल जाएगा।
Besides, Prime Minister also inaugurated various other projects for Delhi, Uttar Pradesh, Andhra Pradesh, Himachal Pradesh, Karnataka. Prime Minister Modi said that such projects have helped in pulling 250 million Indians out of poverty in the last 10 years, and India has become the fifth largest global economy. The country saw remarkable progress in infrastructure development during the last 10 years. In the interim budget of 2024-25, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman proposed to increase the outlay for infrastructure development by 11%, which will amount to $134.2 billion. On 2nd January 2024, Prime Minister inaugurated, dedicated to the nation, and laid the foundation stone of development projects worth more than rupees 20,000 crores or $2.4 billion in Tiruchirappalli in Tamil Nadu. On 11th January 2024, Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurated the Atal Setu in Mumbai. On 25th January, Prime Minister inaugurated and dedicated to the nation multiple development projects worth rupees 19,100 crores or $2.3 billion in Bulandshahr in Uttar Pradesh. On 26 February 2024, Prime Minister laid foundation stone, inaugurated and dedicated to the nation more than 2,000 railway infrastructure projects worth around rupees 41,000 crores or $4.95 billion. On 28 February 2024, Prime Minister of India also inaugurated multiple rail projects worth more than rupees 1,300 crores or $157 million in Maharashtra. On 6th March 2024, the Prime Minister inaugurated and laid foundation stone for multiple connectivity projects worth rupees 15,400 crores or $1.486 billion in Kolkata, West Bengal. These projects will not only contribute towards the growth of the national highway network, it will also help in boosting socio-economic growth, enhance job opportunities and promote trade and commerce in the regions across the country. Fuzail Ahmed reporting for DD India.
India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi today participated in a program called Shashakt Nari Viksit Bharat program on women empowerment. Prime Minister Modi witnessed agricultural drone demonstrations conducted by Namo Drone Didis in New Delhi. The initiative is aimed at fostering economic empowerment and financial autonomy for women.
India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Monday participated in a program aimed at women empowerment in New Delhi. Under the program called Sashakt Nari Viksit Bharat, Prime Minister witnessed agricultural drone demonstrations conducted by Namo drone Didis. Prime Minister said that any society can progress only through creating opportunities and ensuring the dignity for women.
कोई भी समाज हो, वो नारी शक्ति की गरिमा बढ़ाते हुए उनके लिए नए अवसर बनाते हुए ही आगे बढ़ सकता है। लेकिन दुर्भाग्य से देश में पहले जो सरकारें रही, उनके लिए आप सभी महिलाओं का जीवन, आपकी मुश्किलें कभी प्राथमिकताएं नहीं रही और आपको आपके नसीब पर छोड़ दिया। मेरा अनुभव यह है कि अगर हमारी माताओं बहनों को थोड़ा अगर अवसर मिल जाए, थोड़ा उनको सहारा मिल जाए, तो फिर उनको सहारे की जरूरत नहीं रहती है, वे खुद लोगों का सहारा बन जाती है।
Financial support worth $1.2 billion was also given to self-help groups either as bank loans or through capitalization support fund. Prime Minister asked the self-help groups to come forward in implementation of PM Surya Ghar Muft Bijli Yojana. The scheme is designed to give free electricity to homes that choose to put solar power systems on their roofs. Prime Minister also said that women are capable of leading the technological revolution of the 21st century. He also interacted with beneficiaries of various self-help groups.
भारत की कृषि को नई दिशा देने वाली ड्रोन टेक्नोलॉजी की पहली पायलट ये मेरी बेटियां हैं, मेरी बहनें हैं। हमारी बहनें देश को सिखाएगी कि ड्रोन से आधुनिक खेती कैसे होती है।
The initiatives for Namo Drone Didi and Lakhpati Didi, which financially independent and secured sisters, are integral to the Prime Minister's vision of fostering economic empowerment and financial autonomy among women, especially in rural areas. Bureau Report, DD India.
And we're heading for a short break, still to come on DD India News Hour. Successful testing of mission Divyastra, first flight test of indigenously developed Agni 5 missile. Economist Sanjeev Sanyal in a media post says Vietnam and Bangladesh are not outpacing India. And Ramadan begins with no ceasefire in Gaza.
We just don't bring you the news as it unfolds. We get to the heart of the matter.
We don't just present facts. We demystify complex social, political and economic events.
We break stories that shape the world's present and future because you deserve the truth.
I am Tanvi Taneja from New Delhi.
I'm Ollie Barrett from London.
I'm Nick Harper from Washington, D.C.
Join us on DD India Global Monday to Friday at these times.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh. In a significant announcement on Monday, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi congratulated scientists on the successful testing of mission Divyastra, first flight test of indigenously developed Agni 5 missile with multiple independently targetable re-entry vehicle technology. It will ensure that a single missile can deploy multiple warheads to different locations. With this, India joins the select group of nations who have the MIRV capability. This is an enunciator of India's growing technological prowess. India's President Draupadi Murmu conveyed heartiest congratulations to the team of DRDO for the first flight test of Agni 5. In a post on social media, she says the first flight test of Agni 5 marks a very important milestone in India's march towards greater geostrategic role and capabilities. She adds that the state-of-the-art technology developed indigenously is a firm step in the direction of India becoming Atmanirbhar. She says, I convey my heartiest congratulations to the team DRDO for this major achievement. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi to witness a synergized demonstration of indigenous defence capabilities in the form of Tri-Services Live Fire and Manoeuvre exercise at Pokhran, Rajasthan on March 12th. Correspondent Akshay Dongre gets us more.
In the vast Thar desert of Rajasthan, India is all set to demonstrate its military might and indigenous capabilities through a joint tri-service exercise. The exercise is being called Bharat Shakti and will demonstrate an integrated tri-service firepower along with exercises aimed at showcasing the synergy between the Indian Army, Air Force and the Navy.
This exercise will showcase high synergy, multi-service, multi-domain capability, thereby demonstrating inter-service integration. Since the event is being conducted at Pokhran, it imposes certain terrain restrictions on the employment of naval maneuvers. So therefore, such capabilities will be transmitted digitally on screen, and some of them will also be showcased in the static equipment display.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi will also witness the synergized demonstration and the joint operations of the armed forces in Pokhran. The Bharat Shakti has on display an array of indigenous weapon systems and platforms as a demonstration of the prowess of the country promised on the nation's self-reliance initiative. The demonstration site has an exhibition which displays a wide range of indigenous technology and equipment, including aircraft, helicopters, torpedoes, UAVs, anti-drone equipment, AI technology, robotics, armament, ammunition, communication systems and much more. Amid the current turbulent global order, the exercise simulate realistic, synergized, multi-domain operations displaying integrated operational capabilities of the Indian Armed Forces to counter threats not only across land, air and sea, but also in cyber and space domains.
Increasing synergy and becoming a truly self-reliant force has been the central theme of the Indian Armed Forces for the past decade. And here in the vast Thar deserts of Rajasthan, India, that exactly is being exhibited by the Indian Army, Air Force and the Navy through Bharat Shakti 2024. In Pokhran, Rajasthan, with camera persons from Diman, Akshay Dongre, DD India.
Economist Sanjeev Sanyal has posted a thread on X analyzing the historical trend of FDI, foreign direct investment, in India with Bangladesh and Vietnam from the figures given by the World Bank. It says from 1970 to around 2005, FDI in both India and Vietnam remained by and large the same. From 2005, the gap between both the countries started to become visible. It became wider and wider, reaching its peak between 2015 and 2020. However, the gap between both the countries is not always a linear progression, with some ups and downs in between. Analyzing the figure of India with Bangladesh, economist Sanyal highlights that taking lessons from the 1991 balance of payments crisis, India has become more protective of its forex reserves. India's current forex reserves is about $625 billion. The corresponding figure for Bangladesh is $25 billion, which is only 3.98% of India's reserves. The Supreme Court of India on Monday dismissed the State Bank of India's plea seeking an extension till June 30th to furnish details regarding electoral bonds. The court has ordered SBI to hand over all the information to the Election Commission by March 12th, which will be uploaded on its website by March 15th this year. Also on the contempt petition filed by petitioner ADR, the court told SBI that if it disobeys orders in future, the court will initiate contempt proceedings against its chairman. On February 15, the Apex Court had declared the electoral bond scheme unconstitutional and ordered SBI to submit to the Election Commission by March 6th the names of the person purchasing the bond, the amount of the bond and information about the party encashing the bonds. Deputy Prime Minister of New Zealand, Winston Peters, currently on a 4-day official visit to India, offered prayers at Akshardham Temple in Gujarat's Gandhinagar on Monday. Met Chief Minister Bhupendra Bhai Patel. Peters is scheduled to hold a bilateral meeting with External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar in Delhi on March 12th and discuss relations based on the commonalities of democratic traditions and shared values bolstered by strong people-to-people ties. Belarus's Minister of Foreign Affairs Sergei Alnik arrived in Delhi on Monday to hold bilateral meeting with India's External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar, number of other ministers and representatives of the business circles. His three-day diplomatic visit aims to strengthen bilateral ties between Belarus and India. India's Minister S. Jaishankar met Sergei Alnik last in Kampala on January 19th on the sidelines of Non-Aligned Movement NAM Summit. Moving on, US has reiterated that it will continue working to establish an immediate and sustained ceasefire to the Israel-Hamas conflict after the talks reached a deadlock last week. Additionally, efforts are also underway to provide much-needed aid as humanitarian organizations are mobilizing resources to deliver assistance to the civilians, with more aid airdropped into Gaza on the first day of Ramadan. More in this report.
Hopes of reaching a ceasefire in the Israel-Hamas conflict before Islam's holy month of Ramadan were dashed on Sunday. The US President Joe Biden expressed concern and said he will continue to lead international efforts to get more humanitarian assistance by land, air and sea. Egypt, Qatar and the United States had sought to broker a truce between Israel and Hamas, but both Israel and Hamas rejected each other's stand.
Key issues that are stumbling blocks in these negotiations, one of which is a demand by Israel for Hamas to provide the names of all the surviving hostages still being held in Gaza. Hamas says it's simply not possible to do so long as Israel's military operations continue in Gaza. So until a ceasefire is reached, Hamas says they can't provide a list of those surviving hostages. Another issue is a demand by Hamas to allow men of fighting age to return to northern Gaza. Israel says that is not something they can contend with at all. And then, of course, the major sticking point, the biggest issue, is how this war will end in a more permanent fashion.
Amidst the ongoing conflict, the international community continued to extend new aid packages to address the urgent humanitarian needs in Gaza. According to the US military, the United States and Jordan carried out a new airdrop of humanitarian aid to Gaza's Palestinians on Sunday, parachuting over 11,500 meals. The latest airdrop included rice, flour, pasta and canned food, took place in northern Gaza. Meanwhile, hundreds of Palestinians gathered in Jerusalem's Al-Aqsa Mosque compound on Sunday as Ramadan begins in West Asia. Israel has allowed some numbers of worshippers into Al-Aqsa Mosque as it was in previous years. With Bureau Inputs, Rabindra Chauhan's report for DD India.
And Russia will hold a presidential election on March 15 to 17. Results of the elections will follow shortly afterwards. The winner will be announced in May. Voting will also take place in parts of Ukraine now controlled by Russian forces, which have been placed under Russian law. More in this report.
Russia will hold its presidential elections from March 15th to 17th, and the results will follow shortly afterwards. The winner will be declared in May. A remote online voting system will be available for the first time in a Russian presidential election. Voting will also take place in parts of Ukraine now controlled by Russian forces, which have been placed under Russian law.
I came to take part in early voting for the president, and I am very proud of it. I am proud that I can take part in the life of Russia. It's a big honor for me. I have been waiting for this a long time.
The main contenders running for the president's post are Vladimir Putin, to run as an independent rather than as the candidate of the ruling United Russia Party; Vladislav Davankov, deputy chair of the Russian Duma and a member of the New People Caucus; Leonid Slutsky, leader of the Kremlin-loyal ultra-nationalist Liberal Democratic Party; and Nikolai Kharitonov, Communist Party nominee. Earlier, the president could only serve 2 terms for 4 years if they were back-to-back. Amendments in 2008 extended presidential term to 6 years. Amendments in 2020 formally reset Putin's own presidential term tally to 0 from 2024, potentially allowing him to remain in power until 2036. Around 110 million people have the right to vote in Russia, though around 70 to 80 million people usually cast ballots.
As China's National People's Congress closed on Monday, one of the key highlights is China raising its defense budget by about 7.2%. China has ramped up its military activities near Taiwan in the recent years. On Monday, Taipei's top security official urged Beijing last week not to change the status quo around waters near Taiwan's frontline islands by sending Coast Guard ships into restricted areas.
In recent years, China has stepped up military activities near Taiwan with almost daily incursions into the island's air defense identification zones. It also conducted regular combat readiness patrols that included drills by its air and naval forces. On Monday, Taiwan's top security official told Parliament that China runs joint combat readiness patrols near the democratic island in every 7 to 10 days. Director General of Taiwan's National Security Bureau said that the Chinese forces were trying to normalize drills near Taiwan.
I think there is a trend of China trying to slowly normalize their various military actions to exert pressure against Taiwan, the so-called combat readiness patrols. At present, on average, there is one joint combat readiness patrol in about 7 to 10 days. There are normally about 10 Chinese military aircraft, fighter jets or special military aircraft that operate in the airspace around the Taiwan Strait.
This comes after Taipei urged Beijing not to change the status quo around waters near Taiwan's frontline islands by sending Coast Guard ships into restricted areas. Last month, Beijing began regular Coast Guard patrols around the Taiwan-controlled Kinmen Islands. Director General Tsai said Beijing will probably continue its carrot-and-stick approach towards Taiwan ahead of the new president's inauguration speech in May. Vice President Lai Ching-te, whom China views as a separatist, won the presidency in January and will take office on 20th May. China claims democratically governed Taiwan as its own territory over the island's strong objections. Bureau Report, DD India.
The India chapter of International Chamber of Commerce, organized by India-Nepal Ayush Exhibition and Conference during Nepal Chamber Expo 2024. The event features 22 Ayush sector companies from India and includes discussions with experts on Ayurveda, Siddha, Unani and Soba Rigpa treatments. The conference also includes 8 technical sessions and a free health clinic supported by Department of Ayurveda under Nepal's Ministry of Health and Population. Let's now turn to other stories making news around the world. Hundreds of people placed white flowers on memorial trees in Madrid to mark 20th anniversary of the Islamist train bombing that killed 193 people and left over 1,700 injured. The ceremony took place at the Forests of Remembrance, a memorial forest of olive tree that was planted in 2005 at the famous Retiro Park for each victims. Italian police on Monday arrested 3 Palestinians based in central Italy who they said were planning attacks in an unspecified country. The 3 men living about 120 kilometers northeast of Rome had set up a cell linked to terrorist group Al-Aqsa Martyrs Brigades. Pakistan's new cabinet was sworn in at a ceremony on Monday where the oaths were administered by newly elected President Asif Ali Zardari. Over a month since the February 8th national elections, the coalition alliance elected Shehbaz Sharif as Prime Minister for a second time to tackle the country's economic and political crisis. Flooding and landslides in Indonesian province of West Sumatra have killed over 26 people. 6 people are still missing, authorities have informed. After days of torrential rain, homes and stores were left damaged by the inundation. Sections of muddy road collapsed into an adjacent river while other roads were blocked by fallen trees. Time for a short break. Still to come on DD India News Hour. We'll talk about the ramifications of Citizenship Amendment Act rules. Portugal's centre-right wins election. And Kate Middleton's first photo post-surgery pulled down.
Wherever news breaks, whatever it takes.
Connecting corners, cutting across continents.
Stories that matter from across the globe.
Accurate, authentic journalism that serves you right. From politics to glamour, from sports to world affairs, with a fusion of aesthetics and substance. Introducing news in a new avatar. Experience the world through a new lens. Stay tuned to DD India for an exciting journey beyond borders.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh and we return to our top story about CAA rules being notified in India. Shekhar Iyer, senior journalist, joins us for his perspective. Shekhar, historic day to mark the defense of persecuted minorities from India's neighborhood today.
Thank you, Shubhendu. Yes, indeed, it was much awaited. You can see celebrations happening in West Bengal, particularly, where the Matua community is very, very delighted that finally the CAA rules have been notified, because these communities had come over from Bangladesh because of religious persecution, and their citizenship issue has been pending for a long time. And essentially, the Citizenship Amendment Act allows for a speed tracking of certain cases of people who had come over who had fled to India because of religious persecution. And essentially it is confined to giving a relaxation of certain norms for these people. But unfortunately, a campaign was built up as if it intended to take away citizenship rights of a particular section of people, which was not true and which is not based on facts. So today, I think with the notification of these rules, the law which was passed in 2019 should enable fast tracking of grant of citizenship to these people, particularly Hindus, Christians, Sikhs, Buddhists, Jains, those who came from, rather they fled Afghanistan or Pakistan or Bangladesh because of their religious faith. And these are the countries which theoretically, theocratically they are.
And Shekhar will be taking our audiences live to Mauritius. President Draupadi Murmu is attending and addressing a conference there.
महामहिम प्रवीण कुमार जगन्नाथ, मॉरिशस गणराज्य के प्रधानमंत्री, और श्रीमती कविता जगन्नाथ, विशिष्ट अतिथिगण, देवियों और स्वजनों, नमस्कार।
Your Excellency Praveen Kumar Jagannath, Prime Minister of the Republic of Mauritius, and Mrs. Kobita Jagannath, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, namaskar.
मॉरिशस के 56वें राष्ट्रीय दिवस समारोह में मुख्य अतिथि के रूप में भाग लेना और आज आप सबके साथ यहाँ होना मेरे लिए बड़ी खुशी की बात है। इस सम्मान के लिए मुझे और मेरे प्रतिनिधि मंडल को प्रदान किए गए स्वागत और उत्कृष्ट आतिथ्य के लिए 140 करोड़ से अधिक भारतीयों की ओर से मॉरिशस सरकार और यहाँ के लोगों को धन्यवाद।
I am truly delighted to participate as chief guest in the 56th National Day celebrations of Mauritius and to be here with you all this evening. On behalf of more than 1.4 billion Indians, I thank the government and people of Mauritius for this great honor and for the warm welcome and outstanding hospitality extended to me and my delegation.
अभी कुछ क्षण पहले स्टेट हाउस में राष्ट्रपति पृथ्वीराज सिंह रूपन के साथ मेरी बहुत सौहार्दपूर्ण बैठक हुई। वहाँ मेरी फर्स्ट लेडी श्रीमती संयुक्ता रूपन के साथ भी मुलाकात हुई। देवी और स्वजनों, भारत के इतिहास में पृथ्वीराज संयुक्ता की जोड़ी प्रसिद्ध है। यहाँ मॉरिशस में आते ही ऐसा एक और पृथ्वीराज संयुक्ता की जोड़ी को देखकर मैं बहुत प्रसन्न हूँ।
Just a few moments ago, I had a very warm meeting with President Prithviraj Singh Rupun at State House. There, I also met the First Lady, Mrs. Sayukta Rupun. Ladies and gentlemen, Prithviraj and Sayukta were a legendary couple in Indian history. It was wonderful to see yet another lovely Prithviraj and Sayukta just on arriving here in Mauritius.
मॉरिशस उन पहले कुछ देशों में से एक है जहां मैं राष्ट्रपति के रूप में राज्य की यात्रा कर रही हूं। मैंने हिंद महासागर स्थित इस सुंदर द्वीप के बारे में कोई अच्छी बातें सुनी तो थी, लेकिन यहाँ कुछ ही घंटे बिताने के बाद मुझे महसूस हुआ है कि आपके देश को पैराडाइज आइलैंड क्यों कहा जाता है। आज मॉरिशस सही मायने में विकास, लोकतंत्र, विविधता और गतिशीलता का एक चमकता हुआ प्रतीक है।
Mauritius is one of the first few countries that I am visiting on a state visit since assuming office as president. I had heard wonderful things about this beautiful country in the heart of the Indian Ocean, and though I have been here for just a few hours, I can see for myself why your country is called Paradise Island. Today, Mauritius is truly a shining beacon of development, democracy, diversity and dynamism.
महामहिम देवियों और स्वजनों, मॉरिशस जिस असाधारण मानवीय भावना के विजय को दर्शाता है, उससे मैं गौरवान्वित और प्रेरित हूँ। मैं आपके बहादुरी पूर्वजों, विशेष रूप से गिरमिटिया अप्रवासियों को श्रद्धांजलि अर्पित करती हूँ, जिन्होंने कठिन परिस्थितियों के बावजूद परिश्रम, बलिदान और धैर्य से इस देश का निर्माण किया। मैं आपके दूरदर्शी राष्ट्र निर्माताओं का नमन करती हूँ, जिन्होंने यहाँ की अर्थव्यवस्था को एक मॉरिशियन मिराकल बना दिया, जो न केवल अफ्रीका बल्कि पूरे विश्व को प्रेरित करता है।
Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, I am very proud of and profoundly inspired by the extraordinary triumph of the human spirit that Mauritius represents. I pay homage to your brave ancestors who came from India, especially the Girmitia indentured laborers who built this country with their toil, sacrifices, and fortitude in the face of the worst adversities. I salute your visionary leaders who steered the destiny of the Mauritian economy, transforming it into a Mauritian miracle that inspires not only Africa but the entire world.
एक स्वतंत्र राष्ट्र के रूप में 56 वर्षों की छोटी सी अवधि में मॉरिशस एक अग्रणी लोकतंत्र, बहुलवाद का प्रतीक, एक समृद्ध देश, एक प्रतिष्ठित अंतर्राष्ट्रीय वित्तीय केंद्र, संपूर्ण पर्यटन स्थल और सबसे महत्वपूर्ण बात, दुनिया के सबसे सुरक्षित और शांतिपूर्ण देशों में से एक के रूप में उभरा है।
In a short span of 56 years as an independent nation, Mauritius has emerged as a leading democracy, a beacon of pluralism, a prosperous economy, an international financial center of repute, a thriving tourist destination, and most importantly, one of the safest and most peaceful countries in the world.
हम सभी भारतीयों को आपकी असाधारण उपलब्धियों पर गर्व है। हमें मॉरिशस में अपने भाइयों और बहनों की सफलताओं से खुशी मिलती है, क्योंकि हम राष्ट्र निर्माण की अपनी यात्रा में एक साथ चले हैं। हमारी नीति एक दूसरे के साथ तब जुड़े जो 3 शताब्दियों से भी पहले भारतीयों ने यहाँ कदम रखा। उसके बाद हमारे दोनों देशों के स्वतंत्रता आंदोलन के दौरान हमने एकजुट होकर आज़ादी के लिए एक दूसरे को प्रेरित किया। इस तरह हमारा खून का रिश्ता दिल का रिश्ता बन गया।
We in India take great pride in your extraordinary achievements. We are happy to see the success of our Mauritian brothers and sisters, because in many ways we have undertaken this journey of nation building together. Our destinies were first intertwined when the first Indians landed here more than 3 centuries ago. We went on to inspire each other during our freedom struggles. And so our खून का रिश्ता became a दिल का रिश्ता।
इसलिए इसमें कोई आश्चर्य की बात नहीं है कि स्वतंत्र मॉरिशस के संस्थापकों ने राष्ट्र के सबसे महत्वपूर्ण दिन स्वतंत्रता दिवस के लिए हमारे राष्ट्रपिता महात्मा गांधी को श्रद्धांजलि के रूप में 12 मार्च को चुना।
It is no surprise, therefore, that the founding fathers of independent Mauritius chose the 12th of March to mark the most important day for their nation, the Independence Day of Mauritius, as a tribute to the father of our nation, Mahatma Gandhi.
आज भी हमारा दोनों देश अच्छे और बुरे समय पे कंधों से कंधा मिलाकर खड़े हैं। पिछले कुछ दशकों में हमारा रिश्ता और मजबूत हुआ है, चाहे वो इंडियन ओशन को एक साथ सुरक्षित रखना हो या महामारी के दौरान हमारे कोविड वैक्सीन को साझा करना हो, विभिन्न क्षेत्रों में कैपेसिटी बिल्डिंग हो, हमारी अर्थव्यवस्थाओं और हमारे लोगों को जोड़ना हो या वैश्विक मंचों पर एक दूसरे के साथ समर्थन करना हो।
To this day, our two countries continue to stand shoulder to shoulder through good times and bad. Our relationship has grown stronger over the last few decades, whether it is securing the shared waters of the Indian Ocean together or sharing our COVID vaccines during the pandemic, whether it is bolstering our capacities across sectors, connecting our economies and our people, or supporting one another in global platforms.
मेट्रो प्रोजेक्ट, नया ENT हॉस्पिटल, नया सुप्रीम कोर्ट भवन, 8 MW का सोलर पावर प्लांट और कोई अन्य भारत सहायता प्राप्त डेवलपमेंट प्रोजेक्ट्स मॉरिशस के विकास के लिए हमारी प्रतिबद्धता की प्रतीक है।
The metro project, the new ENT hospital, the new Supreme Court building, the 8 megawatt solar power plant, and the many other India-assisted development projects are visible symbols of India's commitment to support the well-being of all Mauritians.
पिछले जनवरी इंदौर में प्रवासी भारतीय दिवस में मॉरिशस के विशाल प्रतिनिधि मंडल की भागीदारी और भारतीय G20 प्रेसिडेंसी के तहत मॉरिशस का स्पेशल गेस्ट के रूप में भाग लेना इस बात को दर्शाता है।
The participation of a large Mauritian delegation at India's flagship diaspora event, the Pravasi Bharatiya Divas in Indore last January, and the participation of Mauritius as our special invitee during our G20 presidency are testimonies to this.
देवियों और स्वजनों, पिछले कुछ हफ्ते में हमारे 2 प्रधानमंत्रियों ने भारत और मॉरिशस में UPI और रुपे कार्ड प्रणाली शुरू की और उन्होंने ओगालेगा में 6 कम्युनिटी डेवलपमेंट प्रोजेक्ट्स, एक नई एयरस्ट्रिप और एक जेटी का भी उद्घाटन किया। मॉरिशस को कम दाम में उच्च गुणवत्ता वाली भारतीय जेनेरिक मेडिसिन्स की आपूर्ति के लिए एक नई स्कीम्स की घोषणा भी की है।
Ladies and gentlemen, a few weeks ago, our two prime ministers launched UPI and the RuPay card settlement system in Mauritius. They also inaugurated a new airstrip and a jetty, along with 6 community development projects in Agalega. A new initiative to supply affordable, high-quality Indian generic medicines to Mauritius was also announced.
आने वाले दिनों में हम कई नई पहलों पर विचार कर रहे हैं, जैसे मॉरिशस के लिए संयुक्त रूप से विकसित सैटेलाइट लॉन्च करना और 200 क्लाइमेट फ्रेंडली इलेक्ट्रिक बसेस की आपूर्ति। इसके अलावा रूपी पोस्टल अकाउंट्स सुविधा हमारी अपनी मुद्राओं में द्विपक्षीय व्यापार को आगे बढ़ाएगा।
In the days ahead, we are looking at many new initiatives, such as launching a jointly developed satellite for Mauritius and supplying 200 environment-friendly electric buses. In addition, the Rupee Vostro account facility will promote bilateral trade in our local currencies.
हमारे संबंधों में इतने तेज गति से प्रगति इसीलिए संभव है क्योंकि हमारे दोनों सरकारें एक दूसरे का प्राथमिकता देती है और इस रिश्ते में इन्वेस्ट करते हैं। मैं प्रधानमंत्री प्रवीण जगन्नाथ जी के दृढ़ नेतृत्व और इस विशेष साझेदारी को गहरा करने के लिए उनकी सरकार द्वारा दिखाई गई प्रतिबद्धता की सराहना करती हूँ।
The impressive pace of progress in our ties has been made possible due to the governments of our countries according primacy to one another and investing in this relationship. I extend my special appreciation to Prime Minister Pravin Kumar Jagnnath ji for his steadfast leadership and the commitment shown by his government to deepening this special partnership.
जिस खून के रिश्ते का उल्लेख मैंने थोड़े देर पहले किया, उस संदर्भ में मुझे आप सबको ये बताते हुए अत्यंत प्रसन्नता हो रही है कि भारत सरकार ने एक विशेष प्रावधान को मंजूरी दी है, जिसके तहत आप भारतीय मूल के 7वीं पीढ़ी के मॉरिशस के नागरिक भी ओवरसीज सिटीजन ऑफ इंडिया यानी OCI कार्ड के पात्र होंगे। इससे कोई युवा मॉरिशसवासी भी भारत के प्रवासी नागरिक बन सकेंगे और उन्हें अपने पूर्वजों की भूमि के साथ पुनः जुड़ने का अवसर मिलेगा।
In the context of the Khoon Ka Rishta that I mentioned earlier, I have great pleasure in informing you all that my government has just approved a special provision under which 7th generation Mauritians of Indian origin will also be eligible for the Overseas Citizens of India card, the OCI card. This will enable many younger Mauritians of Indian origin to become overseas citizens of India and to reconnect with the land of their ancestors.
अभी कुछ दिन पहले हमारी दोनों देशों के शिव भक्तों ने श्रद्धापूर्वक महाशिवरात्रि मनाई। आज मुझे ये घोषणा करते हुए खुशी हो रही है कि मेरी सरकार पवित्र गंगा तालाब परिसर के धार्मिक, सांस्कृतिक और पर्यटन केंद्रों के रूप में पुनर्विकास के लिए मॉरिशस सरकार के साथ काम करेगी। ये निर्णय हमारी साझा सांस्कृतिक मूल्यों के लिए भारत में गहरे सम्मान को दर्शाता है। मुझे विश्वास है कि इस परियोजना में हमारा सहयोग हमारी दोनों देशों के लोगों के बीच जुड़ाव को और गहरा करेगा।
Excellency, just a few days ago, the Shiv Bhakts of both our countries celebrated Mahashivratri with great devotion. I am pleased to announce today that my government will support the government of Mauritius in the redevelopment of the sacred Ganga Talao complex into a religious, cultural and touristic hub. This decision reflects the deep respect in India for our shared cultural values. I am confident that our cooperation in this project shall further deepen the strong people-to-people connect between our two countries.
जैसे जैसे भारत एक विकसित देश और अग्रणी वैश्विक शक्ति बनने के दिशा में अपनी अमृतकाल यात्रा में आगे बढ़ रहा है, हम मॉरिशस जैसी करीबी सहयोगियों को साथ लेकर चलना जारी रखेंगे। भारत वसुदैव कुटुंबकम और सर्वजन सुखिनो भवन्तु के अपने मूलभूत मूल्यों को ध्यान में रखते हुए वैश्विक शांति और समृद्धि के लिए स्रोत बना रहेगा।
As India proceeds on its Amrit Kal journey towards becoming a developed country and a leading global power, we will continue to walk hand in hand with close partners like Mauritius. India will continue to be a force for global peace and shared prosperity in keeping with its foundational values of Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam and Sarvajan Sukhina Bhavantu.
देवियों और स्वजनों, कल 12 मार्च के ऐतिहासिक तारीख पर जब 12:30 मार्च में मॉरिशस का झंडा फहराया जाएगा और उसके साथ भारतीय तिरंगा लहराएगा, मैं प्रार्थना करूंगी कि हमारे ये विशेष संबंध फलते फूलते रहे।
Ladies and gentlemen, tomorrow on the historic date of 12th March, when I attend your National Day as chief guest, as the Mauritian flag is raised at the Champ de Mars with the Indian tricolor fluttering alongside, I will pray that our special ties continue to flourish in the times to come.
इन शब्दों के साथ महामहिम देवियों और स्वजनों, आइए हम सब मिलकर मॉरिशस गणराज्य के प्रधानमंत्री श्री और श्रीमती कविता जगन्नाथ के अच्छे स्वास्थ्य और कल्याण, मॉरिशस के लोगों की निरंतर प्रगति और समृद्धि और भारत और मॉरिशस के बीच स्थायी मित्रता के लिए अपनी शुभकामनाएं व्यक्त करें। जय हिंद, वे मॉरिस। धन्यवाद।
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, may I now invite you to join me in expressing our very best wishes for the health and well-being of the Prime Minister of the Republic of Mauritius and Mrs. Kobita Jagannath, the continued success, prosperity and happiness of the Mauritian people, and the everlasting friendship between India and Mauritius. Jai Hind, Vive Maurice. Thank you.
That was President Draupadi Murmu addressing a gathering, a banquet in her honor in Mauritius. 12th of March tomorrow is going to be the National Day of Mauritius, and President Draupadi Murmu is a special guest on the occasion. Earlier, India's President Draupadi Murmu received a warm welcome from her Mauritian counterpart, President Prithviraj Singh Rupon, at the State House before their official discussions. The talks focused on ways to further develop the long-standing and close relationship between the two nations. President Murmu also visited botanical gardens on her maiden visit to Mauritius. And we return to our discussions on the CAA rules that have been notified today. And senior journalist Shekhar Iyer continues to be with us. Shekhar, thanks for staying with us. Now, this is a detailed about 40-page rule book that has been released. If you could go through some of them, how does it present the ease of applying for citizenship for the persecuted communities that we've been talking about?
Well, these rules are essentially for fast-tracking the cases of people who have been in India with their status not yet been decided. It's a fast-tracking of those cases who had to flee to India long ago. And some of these cases are pending for more than 10 years. So this is essentially to provide for relaxation of certain norms which are taken into consideration under the Citizenship Act of 1955. But what is more important, we have to consider is this is not against anybody. Unnecessarily, a canard was spread that this is going to snatch away citizenship of people who are already Indian citizens, full-fledged Indian citizens. That is why, you had agitations on the streets which did not actually reflect the facts of this particular amendment. Now that the Amendment Act has been passed, you're going to see some of the cases of people who had come to India and whose cases are pending for a long time. Those cases would be now speeded up. It does not prevent people from any other faith of getting to be considered for citizenship. They have to apply in the normal way under the Citizenship Act of 1955. All that this says is people who have come from these particular countries where there is religious persecution. I mean, these countries are theocratic states like Afghanistan, Bangladesh and Pakistan, which are declared as Islamic states, and Islamic communities have been facing persecution. And many of them have left that country and come to India. That is why Christians, Sikhs, your Jains, Buddhists, and of course Hindus, they have been granted this fast track. It's essentially fast tracking of cases of people from these particular countries, and in no way denies opportunity in the case of others.
On that note, Shekhar, appreciate you joining us with your perspective on the News Hour.
Thank you.
That's all for this edition of DD India News Hour. Let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can connect with us on Facebook, X, Twitter, that is, and Instagram. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India News Hour. Namaskar.